It's quite cold for a winter in LA, so let's make a flimsy dress and buy plants. This project is a little different than normal, but I had a couple things that I've been wanting to do, and this kind of combines all of them. Like a good stew, which sounds really good right now because, as I previously mentioned, it's cold. One thing I've been wanting to do is more intentional photo shoots. A lot of my projects turn into big old explorations of something, and in the end, I photograph and film them just in front of my lovely white curtain. And that's fine. But there are a couple times so far when I've made a garment or an outfit that is more ridiculous and fun, aka the Halloween dress and the Grammys dress. I feel like I should stop calling it that since we didn't actually go to the Grammys, but also like, what else am I gonna call it? And with both of these garments, I took more care in choosing a location or setting up sort of some items around to make a little set and taking more themed photos rather than just documenting them in front of a curtain. And it was fun, but at the same time, I kind of struggle with doing that. I mean, the whole concept of dressing up and doing a photo shoot goes so far back for me because when we were kids, I have one sister who was a blossoming photographer and another sister who was a blossoming seamstress. So we had a whole closet full of costumes, and we would make backdrops and little sets off the side of our bunk beds, and we'd put on all of our costumes, and my sister would do what we called glamour shoots. They were so much fun. But also I was a kid, and I had literally nothing better to do with my time. And that's what I struggle with now, is the concept of time. I'm not even gonna get into how much of a struggle time is for me. But suffice it to say, the amount of time it takes not to make the garment, but to do the makeup, to set up the set or drive to a location, to take the photos, to even edit the photos and video, it often feels luxurious, superfluous, frivolous. And I don't want it to feel that way because, one, if it's bringing you joy and you're having fun doing it, it doesn't need to feel frivolous. And I don't think I really have a two. Just that one reason. I really need to accept that I can do things with my time that are not necessarily for any specific reason, that are just to bring joy and have fun. All that to say, intentional photo shoots. I'd like to do them more often. I'd like to take some time. And tied into that is I'd like to work on makeup and hair a little more. Believe it or not, that used to be what I did. Back in college, I actually was going to go to grad school for makeup and hair design. That unfortunately did not happen. So tied into the idea of doing a whole themed photo shoot is spending time getting better at themed hair and makeup to go along with that. I'm still not gonna wear makeup in my everyday life, not into that. But the original reason that I loved doing makeup was to create a character and to do art on somebody's face. So I'd love to get back into that. I do miss that. And the final little thing that groups in with all of these things that I wanted to do is buying plants. After our Christmas trip to Brazil, where I was inundated with greenery everywhere and it was delightful and peaceful and beautiful, I came home with the thought, I need more houseplants. I tried houseplants when we lived in New York and they pretty much all died. But then we were living in New York where we literally had no direct sun in our apartment ever at any time of day, at any time of year. Not good times. So I've acquired 3 houseplants since we moved to LA. They're all surviving so far, and I would love to add more to this house. There's a nursery literally down the street from us, and I've been meaning to go there since we moved, and I haven't yet, so it's happening. And that is where I get the theme for this intentional photo shoot: plant goddess. The goal here being to spend the least amount of time making the garment and more time doing the hair and makeup, creating a set, and actually taking the photos and the filming footage. Okay, I feel like that took me an unnecessarily long time to fully explain, so let's get a move on. Step one, however quick it may be, is making the dress. I have this very large duvet cover that I got from Goodwill for probably, you know, $2. It's got that kind of storagey smell, which means it's absolutely perfect to make a garment that is not something I'm planning to wear, but rather more of a costume just for the sake of a photo shoot. My plan here is to unfold the whole thing, cut apart the separate layers, and see exactly how much fabric I have, and also exactly how light and breezy and possibly see-through it is. Before I do that, I need to remove all of the chewed up bits of stick from my studio floor. The things I do for this puppy. With clean carpet at last, I got the whole thing spread out and decided instead of unpicking seams, because why, I'm just gonna cut them off. I also realized at this point that the cover was inside out this whole time, so the actual fabric is even brighter and prettier. Had to spend a bit of time being conquered as well. It's his world, we're just living in it. There is a whole bunch of fabric here, and it's not really sheer at all. I think if I was making a normal dress out of it, it would probably need a lining, but for the sake of a costume dress, we're all good. The design for this dress is super simple. I'm basically going to take the 2 layers of this duvet cover that I have and sew them together up the sides. I'm then going to cut a slit down the center, which will be the neck hole, and I'll finish that off like, you know, no raw edges, good times. I'm not going to sew these top 2 portions together where the shoulder seams would be. Instead, I'm going to sew a channel into each side and then thread a cord or lacing yarn, I don't know, whatever I have through that. That will gather this whole thing up into a small little shoulder seam sort of thing, and then those 2 cords will tie together to connect the front and back pieces. I'm basically expecting the final dress to look something like this. Of course, it's going to need some sort of sash or tie to cinch in all of that drapey fabric around the waist or possibly under bust. Something I'd like to try is creating a braid out of the actual original fabric. Seems pretty simple in my head. It'll probably be the thing that takes the longest on this entire dress. Okay, I would say let's do it, but I just realized I'm super hungry, so actually, lunch break time. Bye! Go where I want you to go. That'll do. Okay, I've got a charged lemonade, so I am charged up. This is quite possibly the most energy I will ever have in my life. Oh no! Ugh, you smell like puppy barf. Bye! Let's do it. Ugh. Oh, that's so helpful. Thank you for cleaning your junk on my fabric. Gross! I started by laying out each separate sheet and cutting a 6-ish inch strip off the bottom to be the fabric braids. I also went ahead and trimmed down the closure areas still on top, saving those buttons cause why not? Free buttons! I mean, not really free. I paid for them because I paid for the whole duvet cover, but like 5-cent buttons. Those 6-inch strips I folded up to make the cutting easier and split into 3 pieces each. I wasn't being careful at all about the width or the sameness of all the strips because I think variation in the braids will make them look more natural anyway. Also, I'm lazy. These strips I sewed into a tube, one by one, and another by another. 2 down. Let's skip ahead. Agreed. Okay, this should be interesting. With all strips sewn into a tube and trimmed, I began the lovely process of turning them right side out. I know there are tools to do this fast that professionals have, but I do not have them, so I'll be here for a while. Okay. I could jump rope with this. Oh, I haven't jumped rope since I was like 14? That was exhausting. Okay, let's skip ahead to these being done. I was not planning to iron these strings because, again, lazy, but I started trying to braid with them and I didn't really like how it was looking, so here I am, giving them at least a quick and basic flattening. I considered sewing the 6 strips into just 3 strips so I'd have like one super long braid, but decided they were long enough on their own, so I knotted 3 together and tried to keep the seam side on the back as I braided them. I like it. That was fun. Okay, let's make the dress now. But then I took another break. This time to bathe the puppy. He yarfed this morning and apparently got some on his paws because I'm still smelling puppy barf every time he comes around. Oh, puppy. Are you the most dramatic baby? Now, on to the dress. Someone has gotten very comfy on my fabric. So much licking. Having wrestled it out from under him, I started by folding over the edges on the short sides of both panels and roll hemming or baby hemming or whatever it's called so they'll be clean and unfrayable. I wanted to lay the pieces out very flat for the next part because, oh yeah, I forgot to mention I've changed the design. I decided to add sleeves, or rather, subtract sleeves? That's more accurate with how I'm creating them. I was using the unfurnished half of our bedroom for the space, but me returning to the floor also means it's playtime for this energetic beast. He's a great help. Oh, good job. Oh yeah. Oh, look at the tummy. Such a nice tummy. You have a good life, bub. I cut slits up each side about 12 inches from the edges and stopping about 14 inches from the top. I then sewed up both sides of these slits to create the side seams and what is basically the inner seam of the sleeve, I guess. Then I measured the length from my shoulder to the amount of cleavage I'd like to show, and cut a slit that long directly into the center of each panel. I folded back the edges of said slit and did another hemming thing. That wasn't good. What? What has made you so angry? You both seem completely fine. Dramatics. I sewed a thin channel along the top edges of both fabric panels. It doesn't have to be very wide because I think I'm just going to use this leatherish looking cord for the shoulder lacing. I also went ahead and hemmed the lower edge so that's out of the way. Then it was time to lace that cord into the shoulder channels so I could get an idea of what this dress, sack, tent, dress-like thing will look like before finishing my sleeve idea. And I'm very glad I did, because I discovered a few things I need to change. But then Matt came home and I paused so we could devour a loaf of bread with goat cheese and call that dinner. Anyway, back at it for a bit before bedtime, I closed the neckline in the front up a little bit because it was gaping a little oddly. Then I sort of twisted together the cords from the top of the shoulders and tied them in the back, basically so the whole dress won't constantly be trying to fall off my shoulders. Quickly hemmed the sleeves, and the last thing to do was add a channel to the sleeves themselves. I threaded more cord through this channel to gather up the sleeves to the size of my wrist. And that's it! The goddess garment is complete. Y'all, I got the worst night of sleep last night that I have had in a long time. So I'm a little tired, but I tried on the dress last night, and y'all, it's so much better than I was expecting. I felt very much like a goddess in it. I mean, I was just kind of floating through this project like, okay, yeah, I'm having fun, it's all good. But now I'm like, this dress is really pretty, which gives me the motivation to fully commit to the photo shoot. In other news, I remembered something last night. All of my excess makeup from back in my makeup doing days, everything that I held on to, was being stored under our bathroom sink. And then our bathroom sink started leaking. And if you're thinking, didn't you just say your shower was leaking in a previous video? Yes, both our bathroom sink and shower have leaked within the 6 months we've lived here. Yay, rentals! Anyway, everything under the sink got very, very wet, including all of this makeup, but we did not realize the sink was leaking for a while, so by the time I found it, it was not only very wet, but had started to mold. 'Twas disgusting, so I literally went chunk straight into the trash. So the only makeup I currently own is like the basic stuff that I slap on my face when I have to do a background job. Not exactly the most creative stuff for like a themed photo shoot. And the thing is, I'm not really willing to spend any amount of money on more makeup because the cost of makeup is one of my hugest issues with it. Y'all, I bought 2 things, a lipstick and an eyeliner for my Grammys dress photo shoot, and it cost me almost $50. That is not only more, but significantly more than what I paid for the 19 yards of fabric that dress is made out of. Like, come on. How? What? Why? I could rant about makeup costs for a while, but we're not gonna do that right now. I mean, back in the day, I used to use all sorts of unconventional stuff for makeup because I was on even more of a budget back then than I am now. So stuff like, you know, acrylic paint. Don't know if it's okay to put that on your skin, but I definitely did. So all that to say, the next step of this process, now that the dress is done, was going to be going out and buying the plants. Yay. But now it's also going to both a craft store and probably a store like Ross or TJ Maxx where you can get like cheap ass brands of makeup. I kind of dug through Pinterest for some inspiration ideas and I really don't have anything yet. Let me finish my coffee and then shopping time. Why are fake plants so expensive? I'd much rather spend this kind of money on real plants, even if I end up killing them on accident. I mean, thank God for this sale, but still. I got paint because I don't really know what I'm doing in the world of makeup, and it just seemed like a good idea. Don't quote me on that. I am not in any way suggesting that you should apply acrylic paint to your skin. Please don't sue me. I also momentarily considered glitter, but like, it ain't worth the mess, y'all. Okay, I got the smallest amount of makeup possible, which was basically one very cheap eyeshadow palette, I guess. It's just a creative beauty palette. Well, I'm gonna be creative with it. And then I went ahead and got some false eyelashes. I hate wearing false eyelashes, but I did want eyelash glue in case I want to glue other things to my face, so I figured I might as well get the eyelashes too. On to the nursery! Dude, there's snow on the mountains! I apparently haven't left the house since this happened, so I just saw this for the first time, and I've never seen snow on the mountains in LA. The mountains are already beautiful, and now they're covered in snow! I just got really excited. You can barely see it from this parking lot right now. The best view was like in the middle of the highway. But I am very tempted to drop everything I'm doing right now and just start driving towards the mountains. No, that would be crazy. Would it? It's so pretty. Back to plants. I was going to restrict myself to just 3 new plants, but it was ridiculously hard to choose. I managed to cut myself off at 4 though, so I'm pretty proud of me. And excited for all the new greenery in my house! Also, I need one of these. Not today, but soon. Kinda wish my car always was like this on the inside. Just a little traveling greenhouse. Yo, I am excited. So I was planning on blazing ahead today with the photo shoot and everything, but the lack of sleep last night is kinda hitting me hard. So I'm gonna hit pause on this whole thing and come back to it tomorrow. The next morning, having gotten a delightful night of sleep, I threw some sponge rollers in my hair to see if having a bit of body will make it easier to create magic later on. I have at least learned from my last rolling adventure that I should only use the larger sponge rollers, not these tiny ones. Then it was time to build my set. I'm operating solely off of what I have in this house here. Number 1, because that was always the plan, and number 2, because I'm not going outside in this dress. It's been raining for days. Luckily, I have a fabulous green chair that kind of looks like a throne. I grabbed a couple pieces of fabric from my stash, basically anything that was sheer and flowy and either white or cream. I also really wanted the tansu chest in the back to create some levels to put plants on, so I made Matt help me move it. And it's probably gonna live here now. Added a couple candles, cause why not? Candles always work. And then plants! Plants! Plants and more plants! All the plants! Yeah, I tweaked it a little bit after this, but basically, this is what I'm going with. It is time for hair and makeup. And yo, if I get better at hair and makeup in the future, then maybe I'll film more of it and talk more about it, but yeah, not today. So here's a few brief glances of how that process went. Y'all, significantly better curling experience than my last one. Big rollers and don't leave it in as long, I think is the key. No false eyelashes. Or false eyelashes. Whoo! I am not used to wearing these and they are very uncomfortable. I'm also not sure that I'm very good at applying them, but I think it's okay. Well, I guess now that I have one on, we're going false eyelashes. Okay, I really had no idea where this was going, and I'm still not really sure about it, but I think it's time to move on. Let's skip to the final product. Well, that was fun. Like, really, genuinely, a lot of fun. I talked a lot at the beginning, so I won't talk a lot here. This was a good idea. I managed to make a dress incredibly fast out of a very cheap piece of fabric, and it turned out looking really good. It is, however, incredibly impractical and useless for anything except photo shoots. These sleeves are a straight up danger. They caught on every doorknob I passed, and they're just in the way all the time. But for a photo shoot, it's fine. A little more difficult when you're taking those photos of yourself, but we made do. I had a whole other hair plan to like do it up in more like Greek goddessy. I feel like this turned out having a very like 50s, 60s, 70s vibe. Not really sure which of those decades, but like there's a bit of that time period vibe in this general look. But I enjoy the curls down. I enjoy practicing curling my hair. I am getting better at it. And I wasn't so sure about the makeup, but I think it's super cute. Not bad for like my first time trying to do a themed makeup in 5 or 6 years. And the plants, y'all, the plants were a good choice. I am so excited to have all of this new greenery around the house. Although part of me wants to leave it in this beautiful little setup in the corner because it's a little paradise of greenery. All in all, a delightful couple of days working on this. And I think this is something that I'd not only like to work a little more into my regular projects when it comes to doing hair and makeup and doing a little set or going on location and doing a nice photo shoot. I do want to do that more often, especially as I get more into projects that are really about creating a beautiful piece of clothing rather than exploring a new sewing technique. But I also think I'd like to just do this again. Make a quick but impractical garment and do a whole theme. It's really fun. Highly recommend. And now I have a giant mess to clean up, mostly in the bathroom, but also here. But I'm also extremely hungry because I forgot to eat before putting all of this on my face. So I'm gonna ignore the mess and go do some munching instead. Later, teeters. I feel like this is gonna hurt. Oh no, it didn't. Huzzah! Okay, so once upon a time, I did this makeup look where I glued like a bunch of feathers around my eye. And I cannot remember what kind of glue I used, but I don't think it was eyelash glue. I think it might have been spirit gum. Suffice it to say, that did not come off this easily. Or this painlessly. Eyelash glue, a better choice.